Matty Douglas, nickname Matty, position standoff.
What do you remember about your first game for Hoy?
I remember it was against Jed in the Skelly Cup back in 2012. That was the first proper game for the firsts.
And what do you remember about what happened in it?
We won that game. It was quite a jump up in level. I was still a young teenager then, so hopefully we'll get back in the first soon.
What's your best rugby memory?
Best rugby memory? Probably getting to the Scottish Cup final with Hoy a couple of seasons ago. We were unlucky that day. We got beat, but it was still a great experience to play at Murrayfield.
What's your favourite away trip?
Favourite away trip? Probably anywhere further than Edinburgh, because you get a good bus on the way home, which always helps. A couple of beers on the way back.
What's the toughest opponent you've ever played against?
Toughest opponent? Probably Ayr, just because they're that physical and that big a side. It is definitely one of the hardest games to play in the Premiership. Any individual player? No that I can think of, but there's been a couple of pros like say Ryan Wilson and that I've dropped down and I've played against them, and that's always tough to play against a pro.
Who would your dream date be? Dream date?
Probably a movie star, Cara Delevingne or something like that. Somebody nice anyways.
Okay. And which of your teammates would dodge buying a round on a night out?
I'm not actually got to answer that, but I think a lot of the boys and a lot of people will know. I know who won't buy one. I'm not name dropping.